Hello, good morning. Big day yesterday, 5.5 hours. Yeah, 5.5 hours in front of the camera. Uh, Great talk with Jerry Mrzinski. An even better talk. Well, I don't mean to compare them, but a really exciting talk too with someone new. I'm going to actually let it be a surprise. But Rogue Ways, you'll see that come up. Got a comment last night. Before I get to the comment, uh, I've been trying to clear my schedule so I can finish this next book, so I can stop, so I can focus to finish the next book. So yesterday was my last day of interviews, finally. Although I'm probably gonna have to fit one more in because it relates to Jerry Martinsky, and I'm gonna really focus on pushing the book out right now. And so the columns and my interviews are gonna have to slow down for a bit, which is fine with me. I really like writing. Um, But in the meantime, I think I might throw up some video every now and then so I can get used to this, and maybe that'll bring more people to this work that we're doing. The comment I got was from Henrik, who wrote. I'm not going to read you the whole thing just because it's long, and I understand what he's saying. He's basically like, "What do we do? I got a kid who's 4 years old, work full time. Everyone depends on me. I can't just fight the government or stop paying taxes or whatever." He says they'll literally drag me out of my house, throw me in jail, strip me of all my belongings, leaving my daughter and wife on the streets. Is that what I'm supposed to do? Perhaps this is the sacrifice for sovereignty that we must all take. Do I need to be stripped naked and hung on the cross until I bleed out in order to be free? Because that's what I see several truthers implicitly suggest in some form or the other. Not saying you say that. And I hear this. I understand this, Henrik. I do. I don't think I do that, and I appreciate you agreeing with me. I've noticed that people ignore the solutions that I post. At least on the social media site. In fact, I get a lot of people that complain that I complain. They're complaining about me complaining, but they're also totally quiet whenever I post a solution. I wrote a pretty detailed article about bioregionalism, how blockchain would work. And even that scared some people because they're like, oh my God, blockchain's going to here to kill us. So you're working for the machine. So you just kind of have to back off because you realize you're dealing with a patient that is completely overrun with fear. They're completely overrun with, they don't know what to do. So my solution is sovereignty. My solution is to find every single way that you possibly can to not participate in the consent system that's being sucked out of you right now. We are sharecroppers for our resources. We have no choice. 40% of what we do is being extracted from us, very much like a straw that's been placed in our back. And evil things are being done with that money. We know that. It's been happening since the First World War, really, if not before. Actually, not before, because we used to not have these kind of taxes. It used to not be this way. In fact, the First World War created taxes. Gee, how convenient, right? So back to the sovereign thing. Being sovereign means you have to own your consent, which means that everything that you put out, as far as who you're contributing to, becomes your responsibility too. It's a heavy cross to bear, especially in today's world where everything's fast food, everything's money based, everything's revolves around the dollar, I should say, the petrodollar, really. If you really want to fight the system and don't want to go to jail and don't want to be crucified, which is great, none of us want to do that. Although we really are living in a sharecropping jail right now, if you think about it, none of us really have choices on that. However, what you can do is you're going to have to change your life. We're going to have to go camping. I mentioned this before, but it's you have to get in the mentality of where you're camping, not in a, oh, this sucks, but in a, you're embracing the everyday tasks of life to survive, and you're finding joy in those. That's what I mean by going camping. You're divesting from the system, which means you were looking for ways to change your life where you need less money. You understand that college is an academic mind control game. So you're no longer focused on how can I get my child into college. You're more focused on how can I teach my child? How can I educate my child myself? That's part of the camping aspect, is you're having to take on the responsibility that the state was claiming to be doing for you and looking out for your best interest. It becomes a day-to-day effort where you're just looking at every single thing that you can do to divest from that. Me personally, um, it's really struggling right now. I accrued a lot of debt from my marriage, and so for me to get out from underneath it, I'm required to make money to pay them. It's a long story. I won't even go into it because I know a lot of other guys out there are going through the same thing. I'm sure women are too. Um, so I'm in that crazy teeter-totter thing where it's like I really want to divest, and also for me to be free, I'm required to work more to pay them money so that then I could be free. But then meanwhile, all that extra work I'm doing is also being taxed. So it's an endless cycle where uh, we don't own our labor; they do, and they're telling us, "Well, you can keep some of it, but we get to decide how much." This really is how the system works. It's also why people get mad at you for suggesting uh, to stop contributing to it. They are invested in this system. It would really suck for them to have to get up and walk away. It's going to suck for me. It's going to suck for you, all of us. This is really what I mean by it's time to embrace the suck. It's time to go camping. Um, Divest every way you can. I really recommend buying one silver round. You can buy more, but buy one silver coin. If you can afford it, buy one gold coin. Hold real money in your hand. This is a very magical thing to do. If you're holding that money in your hand, you understand that this is real money, this is fake money. You can feel it in the weight, you can feel it in the veneer. You understand that you can scratch the surface of silver off and it's still silver. But if you do that to a quarter, it's no longer a quarter. If you do that to a dollar, it's no longer a dollar. So divesting your heart from the system can be done on a day-by-day basis. Um, if you just keep taking little steps, you're going to look back in several months and you're going to go, holy cow, look how many steps I take. I'm only going to the grocery store once a week or once every 2 weeks now. I'm growing this, or I have chickens, or we've moved into this different property, or we found a different way to make money. I personally got rid of my car. Actually, I didn't. The bank took it away. It was part of my depression that I was going through the changes where it was just like I wasn't able to afford a nice car anymore. So I've got a real, beater car now, which actually makes me a lot happier. It's really nice to not really worry about that. I'd rather have a horse, honestly. I've worked out of my home for decades. It's always been something important to me, and it relates to the roads. Roadkill just depresses the shit out of me. And that's been one way that I've divested as much as I can. I still do use the roads, of course, but I've tried as hard as I can to divest from that system as best as I can. This is all I can do and just keep trying. This is why I want a campground, for example. I would not be fully divested because I'd still be having to pay them taxes. But I know that if I could create that environment, once I'm there, it could be where I wouldn't have to leave for a couple months. And that would be a much more of a divestment from the system. But to close this all up, the New World Order is not in Europe. It's not like they're getting ready to come over here and take us over. This is the myth that's been implanted in us a long time ago. Embracing the suck is really admitting that we are the New World Order. It's just looking at history. It's looking at what we do to countries. It's look at how we lie to our population through the media. It's realizing that two parties is completely insane. There's no way in the world that 250 million people would agree on two different ideologies and be content with that. This is a system that's been installed. It hasn't been developed, it's been installed. And that's all you can really do right now is divest from it in every way. There may be a time where all of us can come together and stop paying taxes one day, or turn over property, for example. If a bunch of people were to contribute their property to a central area, Lieberland's doing something like this. There are ideas out there. There are ideas out there that are brewing and growing. But don't look too far ahead, because it's going to feel like you're looking at someone who's like really muscular or really in shape, and meanwhile you're nice and pudgy. I'm an example of that right now. If you look too far ahead, you're just going to lose yourself in it. You have to. This is a day by day, step by step thing. Every day, don't look at it as a chore. Look at it as a challenge. How can I divest from the system today? It could be as easy as starting with making your own lunch. It could be as easy as growing your own tomatoes, and like looking at your lunch and going, what in this lunch bag am I having to purchase versus what could I actually replace that with and not have to do the same thing. Um, anyway, that's my short answer now. I may do more of these videos. I don't know. I just really don't like being in front of the camera, honestly. I only do it because I'm under the impression more people might have time to listen. So people complain about, oh, the way I look or my hair's messed up or whatever. And, I'm going to try and just ignore those and just keep talking. But also trying to keep these short too. This is probably already too long. Um, anyway, you guys, sovereignty is right there. You're already touching it. Your ideas, the fact you've been red pill proves that you already have some sovereignty around you. Don't get lost in the map. Don't get lost in that crazy map of all the conspiracies. If you want to divest, you actually have to pull yourself out of that too and go, this is my life. This is my universe. Around me is my universe. What can I divest from it that doesn't belong to the New World Order anymore? That doesn't belong to this system that keeps lying and lying and lying. Because these guys are not going to arrest themselves and then stop lying. That's a fantasy. That's what we tell each other if we don't want to get off the couch and start exercising. Lying to ourselves is so easy when everyone else is doing it too. This is part of alchemy, though. This is supposed to be hard. Only about 3-4% of us are truly on this path right now. The rest of us don't really want to be there. I'm okay with just hanging out with you 4% for now. I like you guys so much better than the rest. You're willing to go camping. You're willing to embrace the suck, with no detriment, to your own family or whatever. So anyway, I'm gonna get back to writing. You guys have a great day, and buy some silver. Buy one silver round. I'm going to put a link in the description, and you guys are going to accuse me of making, some of you might say, oh, you're making a commission off it. I'm sorry, I'm not. It's just, I just understand the power of holding that money in your hand. I'm just listing the first company that I bought. It just happens to be the one that came up on Google. If anyone else has any suggestions, please put them under there, because I don't really know this much about it. I just know what it feels like to hold that silver in my hand. It changes me. It changes a lot about my perspective over what money is. So that's what you can do. See you in sovereignty.